There you go. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Clarice. So, oh, we got a few more people. Hey, Julie. So I don't know if you got a chance to read the email from today. I don't know if it was too heady. But like the idea was, I mean, it's, for me, I mean, yoga is an exercise in our physical body, but it's more than that. And I try to convey a little bit of that in my classes and in my emails, just some of the more esoteric pieces of it. And Iyengar is the practice that Dr. Fishman was trained in for yoga for osteoporosis. So it's interesting because when you see his book and you look at the pictures and you read how he describes, he's very particular about the alignment and, you know, where we should put our feet, where we should put our hands, and how much effort is in there. And all this is important. All this is important, but it's not like the end goal, in my opinion. And the lineage that I was trained in is related to Iyengar, sort of up to the same teacher in India, but it's more about breath and more about feeling for the sensations in your body and being sort of having those landmarks come from within and not from necessarily a teacher from the outside. Although it's helpful, you know, I've kind of lost a little bit of that being in a Zoom room where I can't see where your foot is exactly or anything like that. So I've sort of backed off on sort of dictating where you particularly move your foot and try to give general clues so that you can feel for it for yourself. And if I see in your little Zoom square something that I want to point out, I'll try to do that. I try not to point it out specifically if it's going to like cause you to like, you know, all of a sudden come out of your experience, but more general cues. So if you just listen to what I'm saying and sort of feel it in your body and say, am I doing what she's saying? Yes. Okay. Then she's not talking to me. She's talking to someone else. So, but, and also the other training I've done is more with accessible yoga, Jibana Heyman and Matthew Sanford, and where, you know, yoga is for everybody. And, you know, we're all in our unique shapes and sizes of our body, our own issues. We have sort of a collective mission in this class to keep our skeleton really, really strong. And I hope by now, if you've been here a while, you know that it's not just from the physical practice, it's all from the mind and the breath as well. That's going to fuel our bones to be nice and strong and healthy. So, you know, it's all this and more. And then, so how did, you know, the last question I offered in my email was like, how do you feel for the alignment in the bones? So it's just kind of a little noodler, and you can noodle with that during your practice, where you start to, yes, you're going to feel from the skin into the muscles and then feel for the bones. And are they aligned? Are they feeling comfortable? And it's all of those tissues, right? So, you know, there's some teachers who will be very, very fanatical about use your, I don't know, they'll use some fancy an anatomical word for the actual muscle that you should be using. And like, how can you possibly, you know, zero in on that one particular muscle, right? It's a general landmark. And some people can say, oh, I'm using my glutes more, or I'm using my lats more, things like that. So you have that sense of it, right? All right, so today we're going to do our practice. We're going to focus on being present with what is for our body. We're going to explore going deeper into the pose. What does that feel like in your body, or coming out of it? And then we're going to do a few more. We do often do a few things that I've learned through Vini Yoga, which is moving with the breath. Like when we're in Warrior Two, we're bringing the hands up or forward with our breath, like keeping the breath, moving with the breath. We'll do a couple of those more that'll try to give more sort of anti-kyphotic curve to it. It's like broadening the collarbones and doing more with with lessening the kyphosis. Okay, so we're going to do that all with the breath. Okay. All right. So let's start in, we'll start in a standing position today. Let's do that. Let's warm up the bigger muscles by starting in standing. And when you're staying in a seated position, you're still rooting through the feet. And that's why in the email, I also mentioned that the grounding can happen at the feet or even at the sit bones. So if you're sitting, the sit bones become your feet. However, if your feet are on the floor, you can still manage to have that sensation of the feet on the floor. So you're feeling for the position of your hips. Does it feel better to have them separated, or does it feel okay to have them draw together? Either way, there's sort of this growing into the center and rising up through the spine. The lower belly draws in and up. The spine migrates forward a bit, so you lift the sternum slightly. And feel for the three-dimensionality of the body. There's an external sensation through the muscles, through the skin, and then there's an internal sort of hugging to the bones. And they should be working all together so that that effort and ease is balanced and feels connected in some way, that you feel supported and confident in this shape. Bearing weight against gravity. Turn your gaze down your nose for a moment and notice your breath as it comes in your nostrils, out of your nostrils. Feel the body breathing. The rib cage expanding on your inhales. The spine elongating on your exhales. And there's a slight pause before the inhale and before the exhale. So you have to completely finish the exhale before you can inhale, and vice versa. Completely finish your inhale before you can turn around and exhale. And then raising your gaze on your next inhale, be aware of your place in the room. And we'll just begin with just moving the arms with the breath. Inhale, bringing the hands out as far as feels good. Maybe you lift them overhead, maybe you keep them halfway up. Finish your inhale and then return, reverse course. Slowly moving with the breath. Notice range of motion. Notice what it feels like to flip the palms, lift the chest. Coming up with the arms only as far as your shoulders, feel good. And then exhaling out and down. As you do this a couple more times, notice the change of weight in your toes, your heels. Keep that rooted down. And exhale down. And the next couple of times you do this, also move your gaze. You begin with the gaze forward, and then as the arms move, you move your hands and your gaze together. And one last time. And then just pause for a moment after that next one. When you're done, just pause. And then let's work on the lower half of the body, bending into your chair pose with the knees over the toes, hips over the heels. Feel the skin around the ankles, the calves, the knees. And then let's move the arms with the same thing. So bring the hands out and up, pausing, and exhaling out and down. Again, moving with the breath, moving with your shoulders, keeping the legs in your chair pose, breathing deeply. Notice what it feels like if you make the feet more balanced. The heels are pressing back, the toes are grounding. One more time. And then when you're done with that one, just pause for a moment. And then straighten your legs as you inhale and come back to your mountain pose. Nice. Well, let's do this all at once together, just 3 times in a row. So we're going to inhale, sink into prayer pose, bring your hands forward and up. And exhale here, sink a little deeper. And then inhale, straighten the legs, reach to the ceiling. Exhale, hands come back down. Nice. Sink into chair pose. As you inhale, bring the hands overhead. Exhale here. Inhale, straighten the legs, reach to the ceiling. And exhale, hands come back down. One more time like that. Sink into chair pose. Lift the belly, tailbone goes heavy. Balance through the feet. Exhale here. Inhale, straighten the legs, reach to the ceiling, and exhale, hands come back down. Beautiful. Okay. Hands to your waist. You're going to shift the weight over to your right leg. Bend the left knee over and out, finding your balance pose. So after all that movement, we'll come to a still pose, but we'll find the breath. Maybe the toes just lift up and the heel stays connected to the ankle. Maybe the foot comes into the upper calf, or maybe the foot goes all the way up into the inner thigh. You choose what works for you. And let's see, we can add another movement with this. Inhale, bring the hands forward or up, either one. Exhaling out and down. Inhale, forward and up, keep rooted, rising. Exhaling down. And one more time, inhale, forward and up. Exhaling down. And hands to the waist, bring the knee forward and step back to your mountain pose. Nice. Shifting over to the other leg. See if you can feel for the inseam and the outseam of your leg to root down. So you're not kind of hitching the hip out. Keep rooted down and rising up to the lower belly. And then bend that knee, connecting the heel or the calf or the foot or up into the inner thigh, whatever works on this side. Nice. And then releasing the hands, inhale, bring them up and out and down. And again, if this doesn't work for your shoulders, you can do the different variation, even just bringing them out wide and low, just with the breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Last one. And the hands to the waist, bring the knee forward. Exhale, foot comes down. Nice. Okay, separating the feet out really wide now. Separating them as far as you can go. Turning the right toes toward the right. I'm going to turn to my right as well. Right toes toward the right, left toes in. Bending into the right knee. And feel that knee over the ankle, right? And then arms are up to a T. Gazing over your right fingertips. And let's all vary this today. Let's take an inhale and place the palms facing the front. Your palms turn. And then exhale, bring them forward. Let's all bring them forward and follow the left hand to meet the left. Inhale, follow the left hand back to meet the right and flip the palms down. And exhale, bring the hands back to the front. Inhale, open them wide, follow the right hand towards the front. And then exhale back to the center. Inhale, flipping back, looking to the back. And exhale towards the front. Inhaling back to the front. Nice. Now the back hand comes down, reaching over, hand down to the thigh or forearm down to the thigh. Notice the shape of your torso. Keep spine nice and long. The left hand or the back hand could stay down or reach it over at an angle, if that feels okay. Notice if you feel like you're lined up with that in that front leg, or if you're leaning forward, see if you can line the legs up into, or the legs and the hips and the spine all in one line, right? And if your hand is overhead and the elbows bent, see what it feels like if maybe you broaden the shoulder back and reach it up to the sky. So with maybe more of a straighter arm, yeah. Does that feel better or worse? You can choose. If it feels okay to have the elbow bent, that's fine. Just trying to see where the feeling is, where you feel the most extension through the back heel. So this is side angle pose. You want to angle from the back heel along the sideline through the pinky finger. Can we expand all the way through the pinky finger somewhere? Nice. And then inhale, coming up through warrior two, straightening that front knee, hands to the waist, feet are parallel for a moment just to give it a rest. And then turning over to the other side, turn the toes to the other side, bending into the knee. And then arms come up to a side, shoulder height. And then gazing over your front fingertips, flip the palms forward and exhale, bring the hands forward and touch. Inhale, bring the hands out and gaze toward the back. Exhale, coming forward and touch. Inhale, back to the front. Exhale, bring them forward. Inhaling to the back and exhaling to the center, and last one to the front. And then back hand comes to the waist, hinge over, either hand on top of the knee or forearm on the knee, depending on how much you can hinge into that hip. Lengthen the side body and choose your arm position so that you can connect all the way from the pinky toe to the pinky finger. Maybe it's up to the ceiling, maybe it's at an angle. Feel from that armpit through the hip, through the ankle. Rolling the ribs up, spreading the toes. Feel balance through the feet. And then inhale, coming up through warrior two. Straightening that leg, turn the toes toward the side, hands to the waist. Nice. And then shallow, make the feet a little bit more shallow together, or shorter together. And then we're going to turn towards the side again. I'm turning towards my right, but you can turn, you can turn towards your right. We'll just be looking like it's the opposite side. And we're going to face the front of the mat a little bit. So we're going to separate the feet left to right. So when you take that turn, if the feet are all in one line, you're going to step that foot out so that that hips can be square to the end. And the legs are straight. You're spreading the toes, scissor the legs apart. So they're squeezing to the center and scissoring apart. And then the arms are going to come out wide. I'm going to turn this direction so you see my arms. So the arms are wide, but the elbows are bent. And then the hands, you can see the angle. The hands, they're a little bit lower than your shoulders, the elbows are. And then the hands come back further. Does that make sense? So your elbows stay rooted, like so you could move in this direction, right? The hands come back a little bit further. You feel that little lift in the shoulder blades? Right. So that is the bend in that knee at that point. Then you're going to straighten the legs and bring the hands down by the side. And then inhale, bend in the knees, lift the chest, gaze forward. The hands go back a little further. Exhale, straighten the legs and hands come back down. Inhale, bend the knee, lift the chest, hands go back a little further. Exhaling back. Inhaling, lift. This is the anti-kyphosis lift. Exhaling. Yeah. One more time. Inhale, lift, and exhaling. Pause. And from this pause, you'll step your left foot forward, bring the right foot back. So again, you're scissoring apart. Squaring the hips to the front. Legs are straight for a moment. And then we'll do that same thing on this side. Looks like everybody's good. And then inhale, lift the arms, bend into the knee, hinge forward. And then exhale, come back. Now if you're feeling this in the low back, as you inhale, I want you to bring your chest forward a little bit further. So you're pushing back through that back heel. Exhaling, coming back. Inhale, you come forward and lift the arms. Exhale, straighten a leg, come back up. Inhaling again. Exhaling back. One more time, inhaling. And exhaling. Nice. Now step forward again and pause for a moment in your mountain pose. Nice. Then from your mountain pose, let's step back with one foot. Maybe your right toes are forward, left toes in, depends on which your angle is with the way you want to face the camera. So you could switch to the other side. We're going to come into triangle pose here. So you're going to turn the chest to the side. The feet are still, or the legs are still straight. Arms are up to a T. Take a big inhale here and exhale, hinging over that front hip. Soften that front knee so you're not hinging in the knee. Backhand can come to the waist as you find how far down you can go with both sides of your lines of your spine long. Turning the gaze maybe up to the ceiling. Maybe the upper hand reaches up. Really depends. How does it feel in your shoulders? Broaden the collarbones. Scissoring the feet apart. Spreading the toes. Breathing here. And then pushing through the feet. Inhale, coming up. Arms go wide. And let's just pivot the feet to the other side. Do the triangle on the other side. So toes out to the other side. Heels slightly in. Nice. Inhale, lifting up through the crown of the head and exhale, hinging over. Maybe the back hand waits while you make that contact with the front hand. The shin, the ankle, the toes. Notice what's happening in your ears. Keep the space between the ears and the shoulders even. Maybe that upper arm reaches, maybe just the gaze turns up, or maybe the gaze stays forward. Make the contact with the feet, scissor the legs, and lengthen the spine and the breath. And then pushing through the feet, inhale, arms go wide as you bring the torso up, hands to your waist, and then pivot the feet back to the other side. And this time turning the chest to the end of the mat. So once again, you separate the feet left to right like you had with the Warrior One work we did. Squaring the feet, we'll come to a twisted triangle with a standing version. So you press back through that back heel, the left heel perhaps. I think we're all on the same side. Reach up through the left hand. And then as you turn the gaze toward the right, I'm going to turn this way. Your left hand comes straight down to the center shoulder height, gazing over your right shoulder. Right elbow reaches back through the left heel. Breathing here. Just pausing here as you scissor the legs and connect with the feet. Lift up to the belly. Tailbone reaches back towards the left heel. Right elbow reaches back towards the back heel. And then as you inhale, turn the chest forward, bring the left hand to the ceiling. And then once you're facing the end of the mat, your hands come to the waist. Nice. Let's switch sides by stepping the left foot forward, right foot back. So you still keep that hip parallel to the end of the mat. Press down through the back of the heel, the right heel. Reach the right arm long. It's kind of like a side angle, near forward. Reach up to the pinkies. Take a big inhale here. Exhale, turn the gaze towards the left as you lower the right hand to shoulder height. Nice. Feel for the twists in the tissues, deep into the muscles, into the spine. Keep balance through the toes as you and reaching through the heels. Breathing deeply. And then inhale, turning back towards the front, right arm comes forward and hands to the waist. Exhale, step forward and pausing there. Nice. Now we're going to come to more of a dynamic warrior 3 tonight or today. I don't know where it's nighttime. So if you need to have a support system in front of you, like a chair or a piece of furniture, warrior 3 is a one-legged balance pose. I'm going to come into it in more of a flow position. You can have it in front of you. So thinking of warrior 1, where we were working on the shoulder blades coming together and the hands coming back. So think of that lift in the chest as we hinge forward. That's where we're going. We're hinging forward. There's a forward fold to it, but it's only halfway down. Let me just show you where we're going. We're going to balance on one leg. In this case, it'd be the right leg, lifting up to the left inner thigh. Hands come forward onto the support perhaps, but we're still lifting from the chest, right? Still feeling. And if you feel comfortable, maybe, I stopped talking, maybe you can bring the hands like you had them for that, or back behind you or forward, so you can find that lift from the chest. So go ahead and face whatever position you're gonna, your support. Let's shift over to the right leg first. Hands to the waist until you make all that contact with the foot beneath, and then the left foot reaches behind you. The inner thigh is lifting up behind you. Reach through the toes, hinge forward. Maybe the hands release to the support system. Maybe they come away from the support system and you choose an arm position where your chest is lifting. You're still flying forward. Nice. Beautiful. You're reaching through the toes, lifting the chest. Take a big inhale here. And then exhale, reversing course. Torso comes up, leg comes down. And slowly bring yourself back to mountain pose. Beautiful. Nice. Okay, shifting over to the other side. Your left foot is your grounded foot. Find all the weight there, just like we did with tree pose. Then start to shift that right leg back. Inner thigh is lifting, reaching through the toes, tipping the torso forward, but keeping the chest lifted, the collarbones riding back behind the heart. Finding the balance. Nice. Maybe releasing from the support system, maybe not. Work at your own pace, work with your breath. Nice. Take a big inhale here and then exhale, slowly reversing course and bringing the foot down back to your mountain pose. Nice. And so let's come back to the right leg. And this time we're going to come into more of a half moon pose, which, so warrior 3, we're hinging over the front. Half moon, we're going to start forward, and maybe we hold on to the position, and then we hike the hip over the other one, and we turn the chest to the side, right? And then you're lifting up more from the outside of the hip and finding that position. So go ahead and you can do it at your own pace. Notice if you compensate with that right foot coming off center. So the right foot stays parallel to the mat, lifting up and riding to the side. That right hand can use the support system, either the high support system or maybe lower on the chair or even a block. And maybe the upper hand reaches to the ceiling. Breathing here. Keep lifting the chest forward. So finding the flow, the breath. Take a big inhale here. Exhale, bring the hand back to the waist, turn towards the mat, and step that left foot forward down. Bring yourself back to a mountain pose. So even when we're coming back to a standing position, be buoyant in the legs and use the spine long. And then let's shift over to the other side. Find the weight in your left leg. Right leg starts coming back like you're coming into warrior one, but you start to lift the hip. The hip and the thigh are coming up the outer thigh. Turning towards the side. Maybe the hand comes to the ceiling. Nice. Breathing deeply. Nice. It's a trickier one. And then slowly reversing course. Bring everything back to the center, turn towards the floor and bring your foot down. So these transitions into and out of the poses are important to keep our awareness. We're not just coming out of it. Sometimes it's like, oh, thank God we're getting out of this. But sometimes it's a matter of focusing. How did I get here and how do I get back? You know, we're up like this. So we might come back and do it sort of methodically. This is sort of teaching our body proprioception and sort of the I think of it as like those transformers, and you see the things that just kind of come out and then come back in. So think of it like that, our own little yogi transformer. Okay, so done with that for now. Little bits and little bits to teach the body and the brain how to work together. Let's separate the feet out to the edges of your mat, toes out, heels slightly in. Now inhale, swing the arms out. Exhale, bend the knees over the toes, cross the arms, push through the feet. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, coming down. Inhaling up. Exhale, down. One more time, up. And exhale down to your squat, wherever that might be. Maybe hands on thighs, maybe forearms on thighs, maybe elbows and knees. Listen to your joints. Lifting the chest from behind. So we're still in a bit of a back bend rise. Yep. Collarbones broad. Breathing. Balanced feet. Take one more inhale here. And exhale, make your way down to the floor. Gently sitting down. And let's bring the legs forward today. So as I mentioned before, the sit bones at the very base of the pelvis are now your feet, so to speak. So your torso can still stay in mountain pose, but notice if you're back on the back of the sit bones or on top of the sit bones, and adjust. Maybe give yourself a little wedge at the base of your tailbone to give yourself a little bit of a support to get on top of your sit bones. That's if you're feeling like you're rounding back. There's just those are the tissues that are drawing you back. So you're reaching through the heels. Find your mountain pose with your legs. Reach through the toes or spread the toes, draw them back. And the hands can be alongside your body, either alongside your thighs, your hips, or behind you. And this you can take note of what are the dimensions and the proportions of your body. As long as you're keeping the collarbones broad and not hiking the ears, or not slouching. Maybe some people have long torsos and the hands just can't even touch. They're skimming. Maybe that's where blocks come in handy to bring them down. You have either have the hand down or the fingers down, and then placing the hands in a position that you feel connected. Toes and hands are still involved in all the poses. Gaze at your toes. Long spine. This is a pose called Dandasana, staff pose. Lifting from the back of the heart, so draw the collarbones broad. And now keeping that right leg straight, you're going to mirror you. Most of you are facing me, so I'll mirror you. Your left leg is going to bend. Stamp that foot down. and have it separated from the foot so it's not touching like we did in tree pose. Hug it up close so your spine has, support to be nice and vertical. And as you keep that nice vertical spine, now turn towards the knee, towards the left, hug around with your right knee. Bring the left hand behind you and either fingertips are down or maybe there's a blanket or a block that'll bridge the gap. But you keep nice and long without leaning back. So you don't want to be leaning back. You want to stay up and turn belly, heart, and chin, gazing over your left shoulder. You're turning into the knee, long spine. Now that right sit bone might get light in this position, depending on the hinge, depending on your flexibility. Feel for that right foot. Are the toes and the heels evenly pressing down? Could you, like in a Cirque du Soleil move, just stand up when your right leg, right? You can press that foot down. Now reaching through the right heel, pressing, spreading the toes, stamping that left foot down, breathing here. And then inhale, looking forward first to change the cervical spine. Exhale, untwisting fully. Hug up with your left elbow for again, just to keep the spine nice and long. And have that imprint of the spine long as you straighten that left leg and bend the right knee back up. Transition, the spine still stays long, right? Hugging it up, separating the foot from the thigh, pressing the right foot down, reaching to the left heel, toes are spreading and drawing back. Nice. And keeping the spine nice and long, turning towards your right. Hugging with your left knee, or left arm rather. Turning belly, heart, and chin. So that hugging is not wrenching. It's just being supportive of keeping you vertical, right? And you're keeping the right hand behind you to keep your spine upright from leaning back. Reaching through the left heel, spreading the toes, and stamping that right foot down. Your right hip in this case might be a little light. And then inhale, looking forward first. Exhale, untwisting second. Hugging it up close, keeping the spine nice and long. And then go ahead and straighten that leg down, back to your Dandasana, staff pose. And let's do one more twist today. So you're gonna keep your right leg straight, left knee bends, stamp that foot, and now bring the foot closer or beyond the other knee. Just changes the perspective. Keeping both sit bones grounded. Long spine, hug it to keep your spine up and turning towards the left. We won't hold it as long as we did. Just feeling for different tissues, different sensation on the belly, the hips, spreading the toes. And then inhale, looking forward. Exhale, untwisting. Separating the legs back to your Dandasana, staff pose. Second side, right knee bends. Stamp that foot closer or beyond. Long spine. Hugging with your left elbow, twisting over to your right. Reach through both heels, spreading the toes, and breathing here. And then inhale, looking forward. Exhale, untwisting. And separating the legs. Nice. So let's lean over to the side and come down onto our bellies for a moment. Find your way to your stomach. Your toes can be drawing back. Your chin is neutral, and you're going to have your hands out like cactus arms. So the elbows are in line with your shoulders, but slightly below them. Palms are facing the floor. Chin is neutral onto the floor. And then press the toes into the floor and inhale, lift the chest, lift the nape of the neck, lift the arms. Breathing here. Take a big inhale here. Exhale, lower back down. Do that 2 more times. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the arms, lift the nape of the neck. Chin is neutral. Breathing here. And exhale, slowly lower back down. One last time. Inhale, lift the nape of the neck, the arms, the chest, press the toes. And exhale, lower back down. Now this time we'll add the legs in. You're going to lift the soles of the feet off of the floor this time. So the soles of the feet are off the floor. Then inhale, lift the nape of the neck, the arms, breathing here. Just holding, breathing. And exhale, slowly lower the feet and the arms and chest down. One more time. Inhale, lift the soles of the feet, nape of the neck, breathing. And exhale, lower back down. I lied. Let's do one more time. Inhale, soles of the feet off, nape of the neck, the arms, breathing. Draw the hands up even higher than your elbows. And then exhale, coming back down. And release the hands underneath your shoulders. Press your palms. Lift yourself up through hands and knees to a nice gentle child's pose. So your forearms come down, your head comes down, your hips draw back towards your heels. Long spine. So this is a forward fold, but it should be gentle on the spine. Long. And then inhale, coming forward. And then making your way down onto the floor, onto your belly, but rolling over onto your back. Finding your way to your back. Nice. And once you get onto your back, you'll adjust your shoulder blades and hips so your spine is neutral. Feet are flat on the floor, knees are bent. Feet are hip distance apart. The arms are alongside your body. And then bringing your arms overhead as best you can. Maybe they're out wide, maybe so the elbows can be on the floor. So you find where you can feel most comfort with the hands all the way down, with the elbows down. Maybe they're all the way up overhead, maybe out to the side a bit. And then take an inhale here. This is the inhale position. And then exhale, we're going to move our arms forward and lift our tailbone off the floor, pressing the palms down into the floor. It's coming into bridge. And then inhale, slowly lower the tailbone down, bring the hands back up overhead somewhere. Exhaling, bringing the hands forward, lifting the tailbone, pressing into the feet evenly. And inhaling, reversing. Tailbone comes down, arms come out. Exhale, come forward, lift the tailbone, press the arms. Inhale, tailbone down, lift the arms. A couple more times. Exhale, lifting and arms go down. And inhaling, arms up. One last time. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, tailbone down, arms up. Nice. And then release the arms down alongside your body. Let's straighten the left leg out long and hug the right knee up towards the chest. You can rotate that leg in the hip socket. It's rotating in one direction and then the other Just feeling for that. Reach through that left heel. So like you're standing on your left leg. And then holding on to the right knee with just your right hand. Bring your left hand out to the side and then rotate that right hip out to the side. Keep rooted through the left sit bone. Rotating it out. Breathing here. And then inhale, rotate the knee forward and up. And exhale, release the right leg back down to the floor. And pause for a moment and notice any sensation, difference between the right hip, the left hip. Breathing. And then drawing that left knee up, hold on to it with both hands, drawing it up, maybe do a little rotation in the hip socket just from this position, one direction, then the other. Then holding it steady, reaching through the right heel as if you're standing on your right leg. And release your right hand out to the side, holding on to the left knee with the left hand, rotating it out to the left. Keep rooted through that right sit bone. So trying to keep the pelvis on the floor. It might get light, but the more you reach through the right heel, you can keep sort of the hugging of the bones, the muscles to the bones of the right leg. So it keeps grounded. And then inhale, rotate the left hip back to the center. And exhale, release that left leg down to meet the right and pause. Nice. Then bending both knees, let's bring the feet out to the edges of the mat. Adjusting your hips, your shoulders, so it's always your spine is neutral. Giving the spine time to sort of decompress when you're lying flat on the back like this. And we'll come into windshield wipers. The feet are out to the edge of the mat. You'll exhale the knees over to the left and gaze over to the right. Inhale, bring the knees up, the gaze to the ceiling. And exhale, knees to the right, gaze to the left. And go ahead and move like that. The inhale brings the knees and gaze up. The exhale over to one side and then the next. Rocking back and forth on your sacrum and your skull and the heels of your feet. Tracing that connection between your big toe and pinky toe, up through the ankles, into the knees, the hips, the low back, the mid back, the upper back, around your neck, your ears, your jaw, your skull, out through your shoulders, your elbows, your wrists, and your fingers. Notice the full connection of this movement with the whole body. The next time you end up with your knees over to the right, just pause with your knees to the right. Pushing a little bit through the left heel to internally rotate the left hip. Maybe the right ankle comes on top of the left thigh. And gaze to the ceiling and release into this shape. Still breathing deeply. We didn't talk about it too much at the beginning, but there's always that opportunity to practice ujjayi breath through the whole practice. Like that whispering sound with the back of the throat. And if your right ankle's on top of your left thigh, you'll release that down to the edge of the mat. Inhale, bringing the knees up. And exhale, let them come over to the left. Once you're there, you push a little bit through the right heel. Maybe take the left ankle on top of the right thigh. Release into this shape. With your left ankle on top of your right thigh, I'll release that down to the floor. Inhale, bringing the knees up. And exhale, straighten the legs out wide, arms out wide, coming into your 5-pointed star. Adjusting your shoulder blades, your skull, your hips. Keep your spine neutral and evenly supported. And just release the full weight of your body into the surface beneath you. And feel the space all around you. This feels like the right position for your Shavasana. You're welcome to stay right here. Otherwise, get anything you need to be comfortable and supported for your final resting position. And release all the efforts in your body. Release the tongue from the roof of the mouth, release your jaw, release your neck. Release down through your shoulders, through each of your elbows, your wrists, and all your fingers. Let your breath float away as you release down your spine, through your hips, through each of your knees, your ankles, and all your toes. And just take these last few moments of class in stillness, absorbing all the benefits of today's practice. Begin to deepen your breath. And spread your fingers and toes. Draw your legs together, arms overhead for a nice long stretch. And bending one knee at a time, roll over to one side and pause there for a moment. Using your hands and your arms, gently make your way to a seated position. And thank you so much for sharing your practice, your energy, and your breath. May your hearts be filled with loving kindness. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be healthy and well nourished. And may you be happy. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining. I'll turn off the video and we can chat if you'd like, or you can turn on Google Gallery View to